It's time now to tackle the headline, and in the theme of the economy, we're looking at the movers, the shakers, who's rising their rate, who's cutting their rate across the competition, who's adding value to their contract, the way that they're going about it. Ralphie, let's start with Zach Reid. You like him?
I like him a lot. So the club's just going to have to find a little bit of money because they're going to have to erect that statue for Adrian Dodoro. They were off him when they moved him on. Everyone said, you know, those three picks, of course, Cox and Perkins and Reid. Now they're not worrying about anyone else apart from the great Zach Reid, because he looks absolutely exceptional. 16 games. This is a guy who, if he plays this type of football until the end of the season, you think he's a $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 player. Now, every club wants this kind of player, not just a stopping defender, but one who doesn't provide separation on their opponent, and he's a great intercept marker. He took 5 intercept marks on the weekend. And so, yeah, I think what they will do is they'll try and work out some incentives there. So it's probably a 700 base in a 3-year deal, but then things like, well, best and fairest results, they're quirky for fullbacks. So maybe All-Australian clauses or All-Australian squad clauses, they'll get inventive on stuff like that. But if you're him, there's every other football club has asked about him already, wants to stay, will stay. But, yeah, it's going to cost you more than $2 million if you're Matt Rosa, who's the new Essendon list boss.
What's responsible with Zach Reid? Because we know his injury history. He's only just sort of playing football. This is the first time he's played a month of football. Obviously, $700,000 is the going rate for a player of his rate, maybe even below the going rate if he's playing at this level. But how do they marry up being responsible, given he's barely played that much footy? Yeah,
well, guaranteed money is what every player is after. So, you know, maybe it's a 700 base, and then, you know, you'd imagine the games-based clauses, it's not 12 or 15 games a year. If you can get to 16, show that he's really going to be pushing high up in that best and fairest. So you marry a few of those things in as well. Yes, you need protection, but when you've got a bloke who's got all the leverage, because we've seen what he did on Anzac Day and we saw what he did last week, sometimes you just got to back this bloke in. And you know what? Back your medical team in to make sure that you're doing everything possible for him. Now, he's played 100% of game time the last couple of games. So if I was Essendon this week, I'd be really watching the game time. You know, don't push him hard like Elliot Yeo did a couple of years at West Coast, and then he breaks down. You say, oh, he broke down again.
Surprise.
That's a watch for me.
What about Jack Silvagni? We've heard the stories about how he marched in to Michael Voss's office and demanded that they really find a permanent home for him. We've seen him swung all over the ground. It's worked magnificently, really, for him, and he's one who's really boosted his stocks, hasn't he?
What do they say about never throwing out a forward until you try him in the back line? This is another poster boy for that theory. He's been fantastic this year. Obviously, he had the thumb finger injury that set him back a little bit, but he's looking great at the moment. He should be definitely looking up. What's he on now, Ralphie?
I think he's on about 450 to 500. Yeah. Someone said to me, look, he's only earning 350 a year. That's the tops. I went and checked that out because it's important. They said he's earning more than that. So right now, he probably gets 600. If he plays like this for the next 10 weeks, then the suitors will come out for him as well. Jacob van Rooyen. Trying to try him down back as well if you're Melbourne. Yeah, bereft of confidence, 3 goals in 6 games. He might be the failed forward who might be a revelation in definitely.
What about the super showman, Seth Campbell? Of course, the front flipper, back flipper, every way flipper. He's really boosting his sort of prospects too, isn't he, at Richmond?
High pressure forward, kicks goals, celebrates. You know, all those things are exactly what you want to pay for. Probably the 2 former issues. So he's got 2026. He's got leverage with Tasmania. Again, I'd imagine he'd wait until the end of the season there. But Blair Hartley, lock him away, like Ryan Mansell away as well. Yeah, all of a sudden, the mosquito fleet that they had with Jack Riewoldt is developing again. Sam Lawler, Ryan Mansell, Seth Campbell, Maurice Rioli. It's really exciting again for the Tigers. They're just going to fly past a few of these teams, having bottomed out really quickly, and then just get by them on the way up.
Yeah, another guy who's contracted for next season, loving what he's been doing at the Dogs, is Joel Freijah too.
Yeah, the mini Bont they call him. We're still waiting on a Bont track. We're still waiting on that, so maybe they should move to the mini Bont track and get him out of the way. They should extend him as soon as they possibly can. Everything he does is good. He can play in almost any position, plays midfield, half-back, and do a little bit of half-forward, whatever it takes to keep him. His price has to be going through the roof.
So $1.7 million for Tom McConing. I had a quick look at it in the CBA. So last year he was on $110,000 as a pick 40. He got $4,000 a game, so something like 100. I think he played 13 games, so like 170 grand. So then 40,000 of that was added onto this year's base figure. So I think he's on 160. The most he can earn is $250,000. That is some kind of player.
That's a huge leap.
Yeah. Now they brought in Matt Kennedy's contract, but they got rid of the Bailey Smith deal. So they are absolutely winning there with Matt Kennedy playing some of the form of his career.
Prime position. mentioned the Dogs there. Who has cut their rate and lost a little bit of value? Josh, you had a front row seat to Jake Stringer on the weekend. You can't help but highlight him really in this case, can you?
Yeah, he's there on a 2-year deal at GWS, but unfortunately this is the Jake Stringer story, isn't it? He kicked a couple of goals in that first quarter. Looked like he was showing some signs finally after 3 the week before, starting as a sub, that he could be Jesse Hogan's offsider, and then he was off with that hamstring. We didn't see him again. He's missed 16 weeks before now with hamstring injuries in his career. It's been a long toil for him to be right and be playing every week. Well, you wonder whether he goes even beyond the 2-year deal. His price has to be, I guess, going down every week he misses.
And GWS got punchy on their social media saying, oh, well, you know, the quote was that he disappeared, and they said, hang on, he got injured. But that is the Jake Stringer story, as you said. We're going to judge him on his successes and also his failures, and the body injuries is something that's been a persistent failure there. Brandon Starcevic, we wish him well. He's getting closer to playing again. So, again, you hold off your deal. Yes, you might not get the 4 or 5 year offer, given that the AFL's not really giving great protection for players who retire through concussion injury, but I hope by the end of the season he's played great football and he can get a really quality deal.
Yeah, one bloke who won't be playing any football this season, of course, is Sam Draper. I mean, we never like to see an injury like that, Achilles, but he could have been potentially in for a big payday.
Yeah, huge. He was in the career best form. He was distraught after this injury went down with the Achilles. They were going to park talks for about a month. That month is just about up now, so they have been talking pretty diligently between Draper's team and Essendon so far. Haven't really been venturing too far outside of that. He's an unrestricted free agent, of course, so he can go anywhere he likes. What could have been a $900,000 year deal, does that come down to a $700,000? And over a 5-year deal, that's $1 million out the door. You hope it doesn't cost someone that much money when they just have an innocuous fall over in the middle of the ground like that, but that's why probably he was so upset.
I'd be crying too, wouldn't you, Ralphie? Hey, take us back to the Dogs to finish. Liam Jones, Adam Treloar, they've both had soft tissue issues as well. Could it cost them? Yeah,
Liam, of course, the soft tissue injury with the hamstring, and then has been dropped out of the side. So with Jed Busslinger coming through, with James O'Donnell looking like a real centrepiece of that defence, he's got 2 more years on his deal. You think that Liam might get the base contract or try and find somewhere else? And Adam Treloar, he's still being paid by Collingwood. He had hoped after an All-Australian season last year that he would get top dollar. Unfortunately, another calf injury, the club's saying 1 to 2. Let's face it, it might drift out again. So a couple of guys there who might just get a little shave on their contract, and it might come to Bontempelli and Ed Richards and a few of the young kids who will get extensions like Freijah.
Well, you two will be right across it on Moneyball for codesports.com.au. That's it for Tackle the Headline. We'll see you next time.